Hi, this is Shara with Heartforge Solutions. This is our new tassel maker. As you can see, I am placing the yarn on the tassel maker and wrapping it around. Now the two notches at the top allow us to lock this yarn in. This is the hanger yarn, and this is what you're going to hang your tassel, use to hang your tassel from whatever. One of the features that I want to show you about the Tassel Maker are these channels that my husband built in. They allow you to more easily tie up the yarn, and the ones on the bottom allow you more easily to cut the yarn. So they're really kind of nifty. This Tassel Maker can go from 6 all the way down to 2 inches, and every other increment is a 1/2 inch, so 2.5, 4.5, etc. I really like to use a needle with my tassel maker, so I keep one handy. But our first step is going to be tucking the tassel yarn into the appropriate notch. So I just like to make that nice and firm. And then I like to wrap around what I have tucked into the notch. And you just wrap whichever length you want all the way from the top to the bottom. It does take a little while. I'm making a particularly chonky tassel in this particular video, but you can definitely use it with fine yarns and sock yarns. It'd work with embroidery floss. So really, if it works like yarn, you can make a tassel out of it with our tassel maker. All right, now I'm locking it into the bottom notch right underneath. You could really use any notch you wanted. I just like to do it one in the existing notch, one in the next one below. I'm particularly fond of these tiny scissors I'm using because they have such a small space, but you can definitely use this with larger ones too. So now I'm undoing the top string or yarn. The intention here is that I want to get it loose so that I can use it to tie the top of the tassel closed. And I wrapped it around quite well because I really get frustrated when they interfere with the wrapping process. Now that that's loose, I'm going to shimmy it on up into that channel. And once it's in the channel, I'll be able to slish it around pretty good like that. So then I'm going to create an even amount on either side of the top.
I don't remember.
Just like that.
All, but I only saw a couple of the originals.
And then I'm going to create a surgeon's knot. I think it's called a surgeon's knot. But I'm going to tie real tight. And part of the reason the channel is so helpful is because you're not fighting against the top of the device. So you have a little bit more chance of making a nice tight knot, which is helpful for these super chunky tassels. They just look good that way. I'm going to cut a length for the neck of the tassel. The neck is that pretty bit that is all wound up tight on a tassel. I did look it up. It is actually called a neck. I am using a needle for this step, for part of this step. You don't have to use a needle. You could use your fingers. I just found that it was a little easier with them chonky. Now here, I actually went through the middle and I'm making another surgeon's knot. And then I'm going to push the knot into the middle of the tassel so that it is out of the way. I have been trying to make the tassels with the knots in the front. They're really hard to cover. So I figured I'd give this a try. So here I'm just pushing it underneath and then sliding it around. You'll notice that the tassel maker itself is very hardy. It is a stiff piece of plastic. It's not going to go anywhere, and you can hold it as tightly as you need to do whatever, and it's going to be fine. So that's one of the things I really love about it, is you can really make a chunky tassel and not worry about bending the silly thing. So now I'm just trying to make a knot underneath, so I did that a little sleight of hand there, but you can definitely do it better, do it differently. I'm pretty sure we're going to find a lot of ways to make these knots look nice or hide them. So now that I've done that, I've got a long side and a short side. I usually do this when I make tassels. And I'm going to go ahead and tuck the short side into the tassel first. So I just threaded it on. I'm using a double-ended knitting machine needle because it was what was handy. And then you just pull that through, and it'll short enough that it's just going to disappear into the rest. But it's just kind of handy to keep it visible because I usually tie it off again. So now I'm threading the long side of that, and I'm going to wrap this around the neck a handful of times. I'm also trying to tie off the extra cord for the top, just so that it doesn't interfere with the process of wrapping the neck. So yeah, out of the way. And now I can do my thing. Like I said, I like using the needle for this part of the process, but if you find the needle cumbersome or you don't want to use a needle, you really don't have to. You could definitely use your fingers for this part. And you really don't even need a needle if you didn't want to tuck all your ends in. That's just a personal preference. So, needle is totally optional. Scissors, not optional. Definitely need scissors. But needle optional. So I'm just going to cover this enough so that it is, I like the neck to be kind of tall and really very tight. I enjoy a tassel with a nice full shape to it. So I found that the tighter I make the neck, the fuller the shape tends to be. Also, just using a lot of yarn really does help. And part of the reason I use 2 strands here is because I found it makes the tassel making process go a lot faster. So yeah, that's one way to do it too. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking the second end and I'm weaving it behind and through my tassel to also hide it. And also I want to make sure the knot that I'm going to make is in the middle of the tassel. So now I've pulled them both through. Both tails are coming out of the same side of the tassel maker. And I'm just doing a really simple double knot, so that will stay sealed nicely and not go anywhere. Tassels are definitely built on tension. All right, so now we get to the fun part, my very favorite part. Any flapped off loops that have just slid off a little bit, I push up out of the way. I find my teeny tiny scissors. These are my very favorite scissors to use for tassels. They're my favorite scissors to use for anything. As you can see, I'm undoing the notches because I didn't want to cut them short in the wrong spot. I'd rather do that when I'm all done cutting them off. But you see how that channel really helps you line up the scissors nice and neat. So that is one of my favorite features of this tassel maker. Those channels make me so happy. All right, it's all cut off. And this is my favorite part. You just grab it and slide it off. Isn't that great? It's wonderful. So wonderful. Can you guys tell I love this tool? Because I really love this tool. All right. So now I'm just going to trim off. There are going to be a few extra long ends. Those are probably our start and end ends. And every once in a while, there's just one or two that's a touch longer than I want. But I like this tool because it is relatively precise and I don't have to do much to finish. And those are my favorite kind of tools. So if you want one of these, you know where to go. Heart Forge Solutions.